Hi, David Odell here with Odell Complete Concrete. This is our first day on the job site, and we're in Oceanside, California. Top of a hill overlooking, in a clear day when the marine lader's not pushing, you can see Catalina Island, St. Clemente Island. But what we're going to do here, we're going to add to this existing patio. We're going to come off of the step there. Here's that marine layer. Every day I was here, that marine layer was socked in pretty thick. No real good view at that point. But as you can see right here, I've got the breaker attachment on. And what that is, that concrete down there, that was actually an add-on because this house, because it's on a hillside, it was actually settling down. It was actually sinking. So what they did was they went underneath the existing foundation at some point and put concrete underneath and on the outside to lock it in position. So that's what all that concrete was. It came up a little high for the new patio to go in, so I chipped off about 2 inches off the top because they shot some caissons down, and that was the cap that locked all the caissons together. We took about 2 inches off the top, and that's all you're gonna get because that concrete goes down. I don't know how deep, but they're caissons. We're going to do one more step off of that existing because it's a pretty big drop off there. We're doing a 7.5 inch step, maybe 7.25, right around in there. Basically we have the 2x6 and then we've underpinned it with a 2x4, so we got the 5.5 and 1.5 inches plus your trowel underneath the bottom of that form, so you can kind of get an idea of the height of that step. But we're going to contour the yard a little bit so the dirt doesn't wash onto the new patio area. Right here I just put a head cam on just to get an idea of where I'm just going to kind of dispose of the dirt. Initially, the grand design for this particular area was actually there was going to be a road that went by this house and it winded down along that hill there. So we're just kind of toying with the proposed road that's never going to happen. We have a string line right there, and we're about 14 feet out. That string line, that step is actually level. So in order to get the water to drain out, because we don't have any slope coming towards us because of that concrete footing, we can't really chip that down any more than we did. We got to be underneath that weep screed. So this was a pretty tight operation to get the water to drain out, cover the caissons, be below the weep screed. So we kind of created somewhat of a swell on that patio to the far corner. This is a little walkway we're going to add, wrap it around the side of this house. It's just going to dead end right at the front of that little stone facade there. It's not going to really hit the gate because that gate may come back at some point straight with the house. Right now it's pushed out a bit. Here's a ground cable we've located because you can see right there, there's your power going into the house, your meter. So that makes sense that the ground wires would be there, and we could see them. 2 ground rods 6 foot deep, 8 feet apart, with a copper cable connecting it all together, grounding everything out. We just drove them down a little bit more, made sure they're nice and snug, the wires on those ground rods, and then put concrete right over them. So this is our first day here. What we did is we've got our fiberglass reinforcement 3/8 in there. We've got an angle bar on that protruding corner right there. Concrete likes to crack in those scenarios, so that kind of helps hold it all together. And that fiberglass is 3/8 inch diameter, and we're at about 2 foot, 18 to 2 foot centers. Then we drilled into this concrete here, slammed some half inch drill bit roto hammer, and then we just drove them in. We put those in before that step face, otherwise you couldn't pound them in. This is the second day. We have C-Mex out here. They're very close. Right now, I was just explaining to the driver, because when I add this fiber mesh or color or any additives that I do in concrete, especially when it's a short load like this, I bring the concrete all the way to the back fin. So when I drop whatever I want to add, when I drop it in the back, it actually, instead of landing on the raw fins of the concrete truck, it lands on top of the concrete. So when you shoot it back down in the truck to mix, you don't have a lot of hanging up on the fins and stuff. It's a lot better if you do it that way. A lot of times those fins aren't very clean, so whatever you dump in there, it's stuck to all the fins. So if you bring the concrete back, it's much better. Put a little oil on that step face, as you can see, just to break it, so when we strip, it won't stick to the concrete. Plus, it's preserving the wood, and the cost of wood right now. I bought a 2x12 yesterday, 16 foot long, cost me $65. And I went, whoa, I'm glad I'm preserving lumber right now. That's a 12 foot 2x4 aluminum. Really nice and straight. I'm on the wet side of the rod stick, and then my brother Doug's on the other end. And then I have Conrad, which actually he lives down here in Oceanside. I've known him for about 40 years in the concrete industry out of Long Beach initially. But he's out here helping us get this down. He actually looked at this project for me, before I even came out here to do it. He only lived within 5 minutes of this location. It worked out really nice. And then there's my son Tyler there on the left, running the GoPro. That's a 4 foot wide magnesium bowl float on a rocker arm. We just hit it with the walking edge. That's a 14-inch wide, half-inch radius walker. And now the bowl float's just knocking the line out on it. There's the walking edger. If you notice all the concrete on top of that walking edger, the beauty of that is it acts as a rust preventative. Now here's your fiberglass funny float, and then we follow that up with the funny trowel, the steel. We're going to be putting joints in this, 2 joints, one each way, up the face of the step and over the top, and then we're going to do a band, 1 foot band all the way around the perimeter. Because what we're doing, we're matching the existing, and that's what they've done there. They've got the band up there. It's also a rock salt finish, which means you get the rock salt is what you use if you have a water softener. You usually load it up with rock salt, but in this case, we're getting the rock salt, and it'll actually leave the holes in the concrete for a decorative non-slip finish. So there's a lot of different types of joiners when you're working the perimeter band like this. This is actually 8-inch band, not 1 foot, but they have some 8-inch edgers with a joint on them that you can use, but we didn't have one, so we just snapped lines 8 inches in, then ran the cutter. This little cutter actually goes about 2.5 inches deep. Our final finish will only be 1/2 inch to 3/4 deep, 1/2 inch radius. That outside band will be a broom finish without the salt holes. The 4 squares in the middle and the sidewalk will all be salt finish. There's no band on the sidewalk. You get a band on a narrow sidewalk and it looks like 2 bands side by side basically, so you really can't band a sidewalk. So if you were to just do a salt finish on top of your trowel finish, you'd have still a fairly slippery surface when wet. So what we do here in this case is we'll actually broom everything first with the 50% horsehair nylon broom. Then we'll go ahead and throw the salt on everything, but we'll only use the roller to embed the salt in the field areas. We won't roll the bands, in other words. So you end up with just a broom finish band, a salt rock finish in the middle. Well, it looks like Conrad brought some custom knee boards there. He was telling me a little bit about them. He has some friend that actually makes those for him custom. It's just some woodwork. He's got an epoxy resin over him. He's got some foam padding where his knees go. They're glued down. Pretty intricate setup there. There's the horsehair broom. We're going to go ahead and strip this out today. The salt rock we're going to leave on. The homeowner's going to wash the salt off the next day. That'll leave the holes. There it is. That's what you use for water softeners. Now here's the roller that I use just to embed the salt. You could pound the salt in by hand if you'd like, with a hand float or a trowel, but this is a little bit easier doing it this way. The important thing is when you're rolling salt is not to roll it too early, otherwise your roller will sink the salt all the way down, and then your roller is going to bottom out on the concrete and leave a lot of bad marks. Now on this band, the important thing is not to roll the band because we just want the broom finish there. I actually rolled a little piece of the band right there. That's why I scraped the salt off and then re-troweled it and re-broomed it. So there it is. This is what it looks like when we left the site. Just got done rolling it in, getting the finals here. Plus we're going to do a little aerial view over the top of this hillside. Can't really catch the ocean, but it's definitely there. Also, we got the homeowner to take a few photos of it the next day after he rinsed it down. Cured out really nicely because we used a 4,000 psi on this, so it cured out relatively quickly and very evenly just for the second day after. We're going to show that with some of the photos he took right here at the end. There's the ocean. You can kind of see where the trees end. It's ocean from there on out. Typically you'll see Catalina Island out there, and to the right and to the left you'll see St. Clemente Islands. You can I've seen a little bit of Catalina there. There it is. There's the homeowners' photos. They turned out beautiful just for the second day. You can see how this is going to cure out really nicely. Thanks for watching and have a good day.